The dehumanizing rhetoric of Adolf Hitler is once again alive and well on a national political stage. This time, of course, in the United States. This time given life by former president and current Republican presidential frontrunner Donald Trump.
Let's recognize this comment for what it is, a long-standing anti-Semitic trope that the true allegiance for Jews is to their religion rather than their country. It was used in Nazi Germany to justify the arrests, persecutions, and mass killings, attempted extermination of the Jewish people. And Trump has been pushing this trope for years.
He talks about the blood of America as being poisoned, echoing the same exact language used in Nazi Germany.
Several months later.
Well, first of all, it takes someone 5 minutes to Google Jake Tapper, Donald Trump, to see that Jake Tapper has consistently frequently likened President Trump to Adolf Hitler.
Ma'am, I'm going to stop this interview if you continue to attack my colleagues. I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
Yes.
If you are here to speak on his behalf, I am willing to have this conversation.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about this pretty amazing clip from CNN featuring Kasie Hunt, who was triggered by a Trump campaign spokesperson criticizing Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, who will be moderating the debate this Thursday between Trump and Biden. Now, the reason why Jake Tapper and Dana Bash have come under fire is because of that clip that you guys just saw at the beginning of this video of them essentially comparing Trump to Hitler, okay? And they did it in a way that was unjustified, in the same way that the mainstream liberal media always is criticizing Trump for anything he says out of context because they are biased against Trump, okay? And again, these clips have resurfaced on the internet of, for example, again, Jake Tapper criticizing Trump, comparing him to Hitler as an example of the bias that may be shown towards Joe Biden and against Trump during this CNN debate.
This time given life by former president and current Republican presidential frontrunner Donald Trump, whose thoughts on immigrants were made shockingly crystal clear over the weekend.
They're poisoning the blood of our country. That's what they've done. They poison mental institutions and prisons all over the world, not just in South America, not just the 3 or 4 countries that we think about, but all over the world. They're coming into our country from Africa, from Asia, all over the world. They're pouring into our country. Nobody's even looking at them. They just come in. The crime is going to be tremendous.
South America, Africa, Asia. No mention of Europe in Mr. Trump's list. And he uses the term poisoning the blood of our country. Poisoning the blood of our country. If you were to open up a copy of Hitler's Mein Kampf, you would find the Nazi leader describing the mixing of non-Germans with Germans as poisoning. The Jew, Hitler wrote, quote, poisons the blood of others. This, according to Hitler, posed an existential threat to Germany because, quote, all great cultures of the past perished only because the originally creative race died out from blood poisoning, unquote. There's really no other way to say it. Donald Trump's language mirrors this directly.
Yeah, so that's what people have a problem with, okay? You have both debate moderators basically trying to compare Trump to Hitler, with Jake Tapper basically saying that Trump is quoting Mein Kampf because he is talking about how illegal immigrants who are criminals, that's specifically what he's talking about in context, they're poisoning the blood of this country. Apparently that makes you Hitler, okay? And again, the worst part about this is not just that the mainstream liberal media is taking it out of context, it's because they're doing it on behalf of the Democrat Party, who are going to use this same strategy of essentially taking Trump's words out of context, doing the debate against Trump. And again, you would expect unbiased moderators to check the Biden campaign on that, but that's not going to happen because CNN agrees with the Biden campaign because they are an arm of the Biden campaign.
He wants to be a dictator on day one. He's also made it very clear, Alex, that if he doesn't win this election, there will be a bloodbath. And I know some of his aides have tried to say that we're overstating that. No, he said that in his own words. So sure, it's an attack line. You're going to hear us making the contrast point more and more, but it's also a statement of fact.
Yeah, so you've seen that, you heard that. Okay, that is the strategy that the Biden administration is going to use going into this debate. And if you had an unbiased media, right, if you had unbiased moderators, when they bring up, for example, Trump saying that immigrants are going to poison the blood of this country, or his bloodbath comments, which he was not talking about war, a civil war. He was talking about an economic disaster happening, okay, if Joe Biden's elected president again, which definitely will happen. But anyways, an unbiased moderating crew would call that out and say, well, that's not actually really what he said. In context, he was talking about illegal immigrants and criminals, and he was talking about the economy. But they're not going to do that, right? They're going to side with Joe Biden because that's what they've been doing the whole time, and that is what people have a problem with. That is what people have an issue with. That is what CNN is being called out over, which is the fact that, hey, you have two biased moderators who literally all they do is just attack Trump with these unjustified and hyperbolic interpretations of some of the comments that he says at his rally. So she's going to be confronted on this, Kasie Hunt, and she's going to get so triggered that she's quite literally going to cut the interview with Trump National Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Joe Biden and Donald Trump. It's going to be right here on CNN. Each candidate preparing in their own way. Biden is huddled with a close circle of advisors at Camp David. Donald Trump was bouncing ideas off the crowd at his Saturday rally in Philadelphia. Both, of course, working towards this showdown with a memory of the 2020 debate that, just want to remind you, sounded like this.
I just want to make sure. Joe, you're the I want to make sure.
Graduated last in your class, not first in your class.
I want to make sure.
Mr. President, can you let him finish, sir?
Joining me now is Karoline Leavitt. She is Trump Campaign National Press Secretary. Karoline, thanks very much for being here on the show. We played that to remind everyone that that was some of what they saw on the debate stage in 2020. Of course, President Trump went on to lose that election to Joe Biden. Can you tell us what Donald Trump is going to do differently on the debate stage this time?
Sure. Well, President Trump is well prepared ahead of Thursday's debates. Unlike Joe Biden, he doesn't have to hide away and have his advisors tell him what to say. President Trump knows what he wants to say, and he's going to relay his vision to the American people to make this country strong, safe, secure, and wealthy again. He's been doing that across this great nation to all corners of this country. That's why he was in Detroit, Michigan last week. He was in Philadelphia for a big rally on Saturday night. And that's why President Trump is knowingly going into a hostile environment on this very network on CNN with debate moderators who have made their opinions about him very well known over the past 8 years and their biased coverage of him. So President Trump is willing to bring his message to every corner of this country, to voters, to ensure that he wins this election in November. He looks forward to doing that. And I know the American public look forward to hearing from him.
So I'll just say my colleagues, Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, have acquitted themselves as professionals as they have covered campaigns and interviewed candidates from all sides of the aisle. I'll also say that if you talk to analysts of debates previous, that if you're attacking the moderators, you're usually losing. So I really want to focus in.
Well, listen, it's not an attack on the moderators as much as it's just a statement of fact. OK, they are biased. When they covered Trump's bloodbath comments and the comments about poisoning the blood of this country, they did not cover those comments accurately. They used the same Democrat Party spin that the rest of the liberal media was using, MSNBC included, to try to make it seem like Trump was saying something that he didn't say in order to compare him to Hitler. That's not journalism. And they should be criticized for that. I think that it is important to ask these types of questions going into this debate about whether or not these moderators can be fair and unbiased, because the Biden team, Biden will most certainly bring up these comments and say that Trump said these things, but will the moderators actually set the record straight and say, no, this is what he actually said in context? No, they're not going to do that. They're actually going to agree. In fact, if Trump denies it and say, that's not what I said, this is what I actually said, CNN will probably disagree with Trump and side with Biden, even though Trump is right. That is what people are concerned about. So, again, this woman is triggered by Trump's national press secretary bringing up a good point about the bias from CNN. But apparently, again, this is not something that CNN wants on their airwaves, right? For their audience to hear the truth about how this network is biased. Now, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, they have a very small audience, a dwindling audience, right? But, hey, you only can lie on CNN, okay? If you tell the truth, apparently that means that they'll cut off the interview, which is about to happen in a few minutes.
On what these two men are going to do and say when they stand on the stage. Now, we have a little bit of what Donald Trump, your boss, has said in trying to set expectations for this debate. I want to play a series of his comments, and then we'll talk about it. Watch.
Maybe I'm better off losing the debate. I'll make sure he says I'll lose the debate on purpose. Maybe I'll do something like that. I assume he's going to be somebody that will be a worthy debater. Should I be tough and nasty and just say you're the worst president in history? Or should I be nice and calm and let him speak?
So he's basically saying there, well, will I let Joe Biden win? It does seem as though many Republicans have set the bar very low in terms of arguing that Joe Biden is basically senile. Now you have people like Doug Burgum coming out and saying, well, President Biden's very accomplished, trying to set expectations in a different place.
Well, no, let's be accurate here. The mainstream liberal media has set the bar low for Joe Biden, right? Republicans haven't done that. Stating the fact, okay, once again, something that CNN doesn't like, which is that Joe Biden is old and senile, right? He is out of his mind. He is losing it, okay? That's not setting the bar low for him, because ultimately, in the day, the bar for the president of the United States shouldn't be to just get through a debate without having a Mitch McConnell moment or falling asleep. That is not the bar, right? We're not setting the bar low for Joe Biden. That's not us. It's actually, again, the media and the Democrats. Like, for example, when Joe Biden did the State of the Union address and he actually got through it, right? He read a piece of paper. He read off a teleprompter for 60 minutes straight, okay, without falling asleep. The mainstream liberal media celebrated that as if Biden had won the Super Bowl. Well, why is that? Well, it's because they're the ones that had their expectations set so low for Joe Biden, okay, where they're congratulating him on doing the State of the Union, again, without falling asleep or having a Mitch McConnell moment. When you celebrate that, when you use that as proof and evidence that Joe Biden is as mentally sharp as ever, he got through the State of the Union speech. That is something that we should expect by default from the President of the United States, right? So again, it's not conservatives or Republicans setting the bar low. It's you guys setting the bar low, right? It's you guys pretending that Joe Biden's all well, that he's as sharp as ever, and then celebrating Joe Biden, again, doing something as basic as giving a State of the Union address, which is just reading off of a teleprompter, right? Something that he probably practiced 1,000 times going into it. So, listen, the only people that are going to pat Joe Biden on the back for getting through the debate are the mainstream liberal media. I'm not going to pat Joe Biden on the back if he happens to get through the debate without a Mitch McConnell moment or without falling asleep. I'm going to say, well, that's good for him, but that doesn't earn any points with me because my expectations are not that low for the president of the United States, period, right? So again, this is another example of the mainstream liberal media trying to spin a narrative here that, no, it's not us that will be celebrating Joe Biden just getting through the debate, right? It's not us setting the bar low. It's actually Republicans. They're doing that.
What do you expect from Joe Biden?
Well, first of all, it would take someone 5 minutes to Google Jake Tapper, Donald Trump, to see that Jake Tapper has consistently frequently likened President Trump to Adolf Hitler.
Ma'am, I'm going to stop this interview if you continue to attack my colleagues. I would like to talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who you work for.
Yes.
If you are here to speak on his behalf, I am willing to have this conversation.
I am stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay.
Now,
I'm sorry, guys. We're going to come back out to the panel. Karoline, thank you very much for your time. You are welcome to come back at any point. Wow. She is welcome to come back and speak about Donald Trump, and Donald Trump will have equal time to Joe Biden when they both join us now at later this week in Atlanta for this debate. Our thanks to Karoline. John, that, of course, is something that we are going to see from the right? It's going to be attacked.
Wow, this is what she's triggered about, right? She's triggered about the fact that you have the Trump campaign rightfully calling out the bias of CNN in the media, right? This is what she's triggered about, to the point where she literally cut off the interview. But because they can't stand to hear the truth. But, hey, this is why I think that the Trump campaign, honestly, probably should not have accepted this debate unless we got a Fox News debate. Right? Unless we got a confirmed Fox News debate probably should not have done this. Now, who knows? We may still have a Fox News debate, but I don't think as of the making of this video that is set in stone, that is going to happen. I understand why the Trump campaign did it, because ultimately at the end of the day, hey, it should be pretty easy for Trump to defeat Biden in this debate, and all he has to do is just let Biden talk, right? Just let him talk. Just give Biden as much speaking time as possible, because the more that Biden talks, the more likely it is that he's going to mess something up, right? That he's going to have a major gasp, a major moment that will not be explainable, or it will not be twistable, right, for the mainstream liberal media, right? They're going to have a hard time running propaganda with, okay? Which is what I expect to happen. That's what I expect. But if Biden makes it through the debate unscathed, so to speak, right, in regards to having a major moment, that doesn't mean he gets a cookie, right? That doesn't mean he gets any points with me. It just means, well, he did something basic, right? Like make it through the debate. But I don't think that Biden is going to have some amazing performance. He's not going to, right? He's just not going to. Now, again, if he has an amazing performance and he comes out and he starts sounding like Obama, right, then, hey, I might have to say, okay, well, maybe the concern about Joe Biden was a little bit overstated, but that's not going to happen. Like, there's a 0% chance it's going to happen. Biden, unless, again, he's hyped up, right, on them things, okay, if he off that Hunter Biden, okay, I expect him to look old and senile. It's just going to be about whether or not he's going to have this major moment that everybody's going to see and be like, oh my God, this guy he's losing his mind. If that doesn't happen, then, hey, it's good for Joe Biden in the sense that it didn't happen. He doesn't lose anything, but he shouldn't gain anything either, right? Because again, at this point, it's like, well, that's just the basics, okay? That's just what we require from the president of the United States. And it's just a shame that this is how low the bar is for Joe Biden, right? So, again, if I was Trump, the way that I would be preparing is what he's doing right now. Continue to campaign and to prepare in my free time, because ultimately, at the end of the day, Trump is winning on the facts, and Trump doesn't need to talk that much. He just needs to be concise about the issues and his policies and how his administration was much better than Biden's and the disaster of the Biden administration. All he has to do is be clear and concise, focus on the issues, let Biden talk, right? That is all Trump needs to do. And, hey, the unfortunate reality is that it will be Trump versus three people, right? The moderators and Biden, right? That is kind of the biggest issue, and that is what the Trump campaign was bringing up there. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.